In a distant forest, Wind Hashira Sanemi Shinazugawa and Serpent Hashira Obanai Iguro carefully approach an abandoned castle. Obanai believes the castle has been forgotten since the Meiji Restoration, as they suspect a woman from a nearby village has been kidnapped. Despite the Demon Slayer Corps being on high alert, this is now the second disappearance, and Sanemi scolds the Demon Slayer Corps for their lack of skill in preventing the kidnapping. As they watch from above, they see a demon carrying the missing woman. They give chase and enter the castle. However, they realize too late that the castle is filled with numerous demons. One pounces on a demon slayer, but it is swiftly killed by Obanai, while Sanemi beheads another. The demons begin to attack, but the Hashira are able to defeat the demons, although the weaker demon slayers struggle to fight back. Obanai orders them to retreat while he and Sanemi continue the mission. The demon slayer, however, insists on staying to help, but Sanemi calls them a hindrance and reaffirms the order for them to leave. As the weaker demon slayers leave, Obanai and Sanemi proceed further into the castle. Recognizing their lack of skill, Obanai expresses disappointment at their inability to prevent the demon attacks, and Sanemi agrees that their skills are insufficient. Obanai shares his suspicions with Sanemi, expressing that the demons are unusually gathering in a swarm. They are puzzled as they have not seen this behavior before. Suddenly they hear the woman pleading for help, prompting Sanemi to leap onto an upper floor. They discover a huge horde of demons, and Sanemi reacts quickly, using wind breathing, second form, claws purifying wind to swiftly eliminate them. Seeing the growing number of demons converging on Sanemi, Obanai swiftly intervenes, performing serpent breathing, fifth form, slithering serpent, decapitating the enemies in one fluid movement. Sanemi becomes irritated at Obanai's assistance, and they both spot the kidnapper holding the woman. The demon begins to flee as he realizes that the Hashira are pursuing him. Sanemi demands his surrender as he ruthlessly kills the demons in his path. Sanemi and Obanai follow the kidnapper outside the castle, and are suddenly surrounded by more demons. Sanemi allows Obanai to take the lead as he heads for the woman. With incredible agility, Sanemi leaps onto the rooftop while Obanai uses serpent breathing, third form, coil choke, leaping off the edge to swiftly eliminate the demons. The scene continues with Sanemi cornering the kidnapper and discovering that lesser demons are surrounding him. The demon attempts to attack, but Sanemi swiftly responds by unleashing wind breathing, fourth form, rising dust storm, killing all the demons and drenching himself in their blood. The kidnapper then abruptly gives up by tossing the woman off the roof. But Obanai swiftly intervenes and catches her, saving her from danger. Sanemi and Obanai then pursue the demon as it frantically flees back within the castle. Upon jumping inside, they are taken aback by the immense size and complexity of the space, revealing an endless expanse of wooden halls and rooms bathed in lamplight. However, the vastness takes a dramatic turn as the castle's infinity collapses, causing Sanemi and Obanai to plummet deep into its depths. Sanemi attempts to strike the kidnapper, but to his surprise, he only pierces the ground as the dimensional space crumbles and vanishes. The landscape once again transitions to a peaceful countryside, where Kanao Tsuyuri travels by cart. The puller of the cart politely inquires if he should drop her off at the crossroads, to which she politely declines and prepares to continue her journey. Her destination is the Butterfly Mansion, where she is welcomed by familiar faces, including Kyo Teruchi, Naho Takada, and Sumi Nakahara. They greet her with smiles and excitement, clearly happy to see her. As if on cue, Kanao locks eyes with Shinobu Kocho, who stands nearby, a warm smile on her face. Without any words needing to be exchanged, they both understand that Kanao has returned. Shinobu acknowledges that the attack on the Swordsmith village was exactly as described, attributing the success to the efforts of Muichiro, Mitsuri, Tanjiro, and more. The significance of Nezuko's immunity to sunlight has not been missed by Shinobu, who recognizes the pivotal role it plays in future developments. Shinobu then reveals that Muzan Kibutsuji is now actively seeking Nezuko, hoping to acquire her immunity to sunlight. An emergency Hashira meeting has been convened, and it is time to discuss the developments. Before departing, Shinobu entrusts Nezuko's care to Kanao, surprising her with the responsibility. Despite her surprise, Shinobu exudes confidence in Kanao's abilities, expressing trust in her. Tanjiro, still recuperating, engages in a conversation with Goto. Goto informs Tanjiro about the impending evacuation of the Swordsmith village, and mentions that the swordsmiths are working diligently to facilitate the shift. Goto expresses amazement at the foresight of Kagaya Ubuyashiki, as the core has created hidden villages in the past to ensure the safety of the swordsmiths following attacks. Goto then becomes concerned about Tanjiro's rapid eating, contemplating his appetite after his recent ordeal. Tanjiro explains that Mitsuri too has already begun to dine. Goto inquires about whether it is true that both the love and Miss Hashira were asleep for 2 days, and Tanjiro nods in affirmation. Goto notices that Tanjiro with an exceptional appetite seems to be morphing into a hashira in more ways than one. With curiosity he inquires about Nezuko, prompting Tanjiro to explain her newfound immunity to sunlight, though the implications of her transformation remain uncertain, leaving room for exploration. Goto, believing it to be Shinobu who is examining Nezuko, is corrected by Tanjiro, who reveals that it is in fact Tamayo providing care and observation. Goto shows surprise at the revelation about Tamayo, and he asks Tanjiro to elaborate. Tanjiro attempts to respond, but suddenly chokes on his food, causing Goto to playfully chastise him for eating too quickly. Goto shares information about the heightened alert state the core maintains due to the recent developments regarding Nezuko's immunity to sunlight. He mentions that the core is taking extra precautions to ensure the safety of those involved, and is on high alert. At the emergency meeting, the remaining Hashira convene, and both Sanemi and Obanai join them. However, Obanai offers an apology for their tardiness, which is met by Gyome Himejima's commendation. Sanemi expresses irritation at never having the chance to face the upper ranks himself, while Obanai inquires about Mitsuri and Muichiro's physical condition. Mitsuri joyfully reports that she is doing fine and is happy to hear his concern, while Muichiro responds that, although improved, he is not yet fully recovered. Gyome adds that the loss of more Hashira would place the core in danger, and he is gladdened they survived after exterminating the upper ranks. Shinobu then mentions that their wounds have healed at an unusually fast rate. As Giyu Tomioka ponders if Kagaya will speak on the new developments, Amane, Kagaya's wife, and their children enter the room, announcing Kagaya's health has deteriorated to the point where he can no longer address them personally. The Hashira are taken aback but bow in response, with Gyome praying for Kagaya's extended life and Amane's strength to endure. She expresses gratitude for Gyome's words and addresses the news of a demon immune to sunlight being found, warning of Muzan Kibutsuji's heightened focus on capturing Nezuko. She then turns her attention to Mitsuri and Muichiro, acknowledging the appearance of mysterious marks during their struggles. Amane inquires if they can explain how to induce these marks, stating that in the Sengoku period, the first breathing style users who nearly defeating Muzan bore a mark akin to demonic patterns. Sanemi admits he has never heard of such marks before, while Amane notes that many have puzzled over the marks' absence in them. Information is elusive and scarce, with only one account existing in the personal notes of a demon slayer from that era. The revelation about the mysterious mark piques the curiosity of the Hashira, particularly Giyu. The explanation reveals that the mysterious marks appear on one individual, and a resonation takes place, causing the mark to manifest on those around them. Tanjiro is the first known person to have received the mark in the current era, but he struggles to provide a clear explanation of its origin. Amane, hoping for clarity, turns to Mitsuri and Muichiro, seeking their insights. Upon being put on the spot, Mitsuri, previously admiring Amane's beauty, refocuses her attention, but her explanation lacks clarity, consisting of vague gestures and onomatopoeia, perplexing the Ubuyashiki family and the Hashira. Feeling embarrassed, the love Hashira apologizes and wishes she could crawl into a hole, acknowledging her inability to provide a clear explanation. Muichiro then intervenes, noting that upon reflection he can recall several significant details. He suggests that if certain conditions are met, the manifestation of these marks is possible. During his previous battle he was poisoned and paralyzed, but upon witnessing a boy risking his life to save him, a sense of rage overwhelmed him, and his memories were restored. Muichiro attributes this transformation to his heart rate surpassing 200 beats per minute and his body temperature exceeding 39 AC. Shinobu inquires if he was even able to move in such dire circumstances. Muichiro believes that reaching the brink of despair and surviving is the determining factor between manifesting the mark and not. Amane questions how he could know his exact body temperature, leading Muichiro to explain that he received medical attention and had a reading that mirrored the battlefield's conditions. Sanemi is initially skeptical about these conditions' simplicity, causing Giyu to silently express his envy, leaving Sanemi enraged when questioned about his thoughts. Shinobu highlights the importance of awakening these marks, and Gyome reassures Amane that they will succeed. However, Amane adds final condition about the marks. Those who possess them must accept them. Upon hearing this, the Hashira express shock, realizing the significance and gravity of the mark's implications. The atmosphere in the room remains tense, with Gyome expressing concern about what consequences will arise due to the recently revealed caveat related to the mysterious marks. Jiyu announces his intention to leave the meeting, but Sanemi demands his presence, insisting that they need to discuss their individual responsibilities. Jiyu coolly responds that it does not concern them as individuals, leading Obanai to accuse him of shirking his duties as a hashira and gaining an advantage in training. Shinobu attempts to reason with him, but Giyu simply remarks that he is not like them, which ignites anger within Sanemi. Sanemi recalls Giyu's previous words, taking offense and asking if he is looking down on them. Mitsuri tries to defuse the situation, but Giyu continues walking towards the door, prompting Sanemi to grab his shoulder in an attempt to stop him. Gyome intervenes by clapping loudly, creating a resounding impact that silences the room. The stone hashira then orders everyone to sit and unveils a proposal he has for them. Goto, one of the Kakushi staff, approaches Tanjiro and inquires about the whereabouts of Nezuko, the three younger girls, and Aoi. Tanjiro explains that since no one is requiring medical attention, they have been spending time playing with Nezuko and teaching her to talk again. Goto notes that all is well until the arrival of Zenitsu Agatsuma, as the demon slayer arrives at the butterfly mansion. The girls call out to the others that Zenitsu has returned, and Sumi commends him for completing his mission. However, Zenitsu instead wonders if they came to welcome him back. He admits that his mission was tough, but he pushed through under the belief that they would miss him if he died. The girls deny missing him if he had died, but Sumi mentions being happy that he returned alive, causing Zenitsu to sheepishly express gratitude. Aoi arrives and commends him for his mission. Behind the gate, Nezuko appears and greets Zenitsu, causing him to shout with excitement at seeing her again. Goto inquires about Inosuke's whereabouts, but Tanjiro, having seen him in the morning, remains uncertain. He notes that Inosuke has been teaching Nezuko to say his name, to which Tanjiro is surprised. He asks Goto for more dango, causing the Kakushi's frustration. Hotaru suddenly enters the room, panting heavily and uncharacteristically quiet, holding out his newly acquired Nichiren katana for Tanjiro. Tanjiro is astonished to discover that Kyojuro Rengoku's tsuba has been fitted onto the blade, causing his eyes to well up with tears. Goto offers Hotaru a seat and suggests Tanjiro examine the blade, which he unsheathes to reveal its distinctive pattern. Tanjiro praises the sword's quality and assumes its previous owner must have been a powerful swordsman. He notices the kanji for slay etched on the blade, and Hotaru explains that the sword was likely created with the goal of eliminating all demons. The swordsmith explains that the sword was made before the core introduced ranks, hence the inscription "Destroyer of Demons" is reserved for the hashira. Tanjiro asks why he couldn't see the pattern on the blade earlier, and Hotaru irritably replies that it was because it had only reached the first stage of polishing when it was taken from him. Despite his injuries, he is in considerable pain and annoyed that he must start from scratch. Goto chimes in, noting that Tanjiro's injuries seem more severe than Hotaru's. Hotaru snaps back, threatening to kill Goto. In response, Hotaru demands Tanjiro brings him Mitarashi Dango until his death, which Tanjiro complies with. Tanjiro adds that despite being in pain, Hotaru was actually calmer than usual when he left the room. Goto observes that Hotaru's personality is quite different in person than the rumors suggest. Genya intervenes, asking if they could be quieter, as he is irritated by the noise. However, just as the discussion continues, Inosuke suddenly crashes through the window of the ward, loudly exclaiming in excitement. Goto warns Inosuke about Shinobu after he breaks the window, causing Genya to cover his ears and grumble about his misfortune. Inosuke claims that joint strengthening training is about to begin, but when Tanjiro asks for more information, he admits that he doesn't know what it entails. The Hashira discuss Gyome's proposal of Hashira training as the meeting progresses into the night. Senemi mentions that the dates and timings still need to be determined, and Gyome believes that the training should begin in 3 days. He states that time is against them, and they have no knowledge of Muzan's plans for the future, so they should get prepared. Obanai points out that when the demons start attacking again, they will not be prepared. Shinobu then asks if they should expect demon attacks throughout the training, explains that since the attack on the swordsmith village, there has been a significant decrease in demon activity. Until then, the Hashira had only dedicated time to training their Sagukos and fulfilling their duties. But now they must train the entire corps. One by one, the Hashira acknowledge and agree with him, and when Obanai asks if they alone will be enough, Gyome suggests bringing the retired Hashira to assist, which the remaining Hashira do not object to. Shinobu then brings up Gyu's absence as the last issue that needs to be addressed. Zenitsu complains to Tanjiro about having to return to training, despite having just completed a mission. Tanjiro is enthusiastic about the upcoming Hashira training, but his friend strongly disagrees, considering it horrible, hellish, and believes that whomever came up with it should perish. Tanjiro assures him that sparring with superiors expedites self-improvement, only to have Zenitsu angrily bite his forehead while yelling that they are no longer friends due to Tanjiro's optimism about the training. Zenitsu informs Tanjiro that he must train now, implying that the latter is only optimistic because he is currently in bed, recovering. Tanjiro calls out to Zenitsu and expresses gratitude for his thunder-breathing advice, as it significantly aided him in the battle against Hontengu. However, Zenitsu misinterprets this, thinking that Tanjiro is expressing helplessness without him. Despite this, Tanjiro thanks him and says goodbye, watching as Zenitsu walks away with a bright smile. Tengen Uzui berates a group of Demon Slayer Corps members, criticizing their fitness level and demanding they speed up as if they are being attacked by demons. Several of them soon succumb to exhaustion, irritating Tengen even further. He strikes one of them with a wooden sword, while commenting that the active Hashira's training will be far more strenuous. As Tengen observes the exhausted trainees sprawled on the ground, he is joined by his 3 wives, who offer onigiri and miso. Makio calls out to the trainees, signaling the lunch, prompting them to rush for food. Some trainees, however, remain on the ground, too fatigued to move. Tengen sips his miso, addressing the exhausted trainees and informing them that the difficulty facing pale in comparison to what lies ahead. Suma inquires about the other stages, and Tengen elucidates that following his training, it is Muichiro's high-speed movement training, followed by Mitsuri's flexibility training. He adds that Obanai's training aims to enhance Anemi's limitless striking training, and Gyome's focuses on strengthening muscles. However, Tengen expresses a desire to train with everything he can give, but he leaves the planning to the Hashira instead. Sanemi lands a powerful blow, knocking several of the trainees into the air. He realizes that his efforts won't successfully elevate his temperature if his adversaries are too fragile. In Mitsuri's stage, the trainees are paralyzed with fear as she demonstrates her remarkable strength by stretching one of them. In his stage, Obanai criticizes the trainees as he effortlessly knocks them down, guiding them to perceive where their opponents will strike. In Muichiro's stage, a trainee faces considerable difficulty in defending himself from the missed Hashira, as the Hashira points out numerous openings in his stance. Standing beneath a relentless flood, the trainees in Gyome's stage struggle to maintain their equilibrium. Several of them collapse and drift downstream as they are overcome by exhaustion, while Gyome beseeches them to give their all, for the sake of Kagaya, the fallen demon slayers, and the ones still alive. Tanjiro is perusing a book in bed when his Kasugai crow pecks at the window. He opens the window but is pecked on the head instead. The crow presents him with a letter from Kagaya. Tanjiro reads it and is stunned to learn that Gyu is not participating in Hashira training. Amane is tending to Kagaya while Tanjiro reads the letter. She informs him that the Hashira have started training the corps members in preparation for the battle against Muzan. She adds that his children carry his will and have formed connections with his emotions, driven to act with the ambition to defeat Muzan. Kagaya quietly calls out for Amane, and as she takes his hand, he expresses gratitude for everything she has done, causing her to tear up and express her pleasure in serving him. A hidden house in the forests surrounding a distant town, concealed by Yushiro's talismans, stands unnoticed. Tamayo is in the midst of writing in her journals when she hears something at her window. A Kasugai crow greets her and introduces himself as the messenger of Kagaya Ubuyashiki. The crow commends her for hiding so effectively, as Kagaya had become bedridden during the period he had been searching for her. Tamayo questions how he managed to find her, and the crow responds by explaining that Kagaya had analyzed the previous owner of the house and analyzed Yushiro's blood demon art. The crow adds that he posed no threat, as being a mere crow allowed him to navigate undetected. Moreover, The crow reassured her that he harbored no intentions to harm them. Tamayo inquires about the crow's intentions and whether Kagaya is attempting to deceive her. The crow then elucidates that within the Demon Slayer Corps resides a young woman who also possesses knowledge of demon physiology and pharmacology, seeking Tamayo's alliance to aid in examining Nezuko and defeating Muzan. The crow extends an invitation for her to visit the Ubuyashiki residence. Shocked by the proposal, Tamayo inquires about the improbability of a demon being admitted to the Corps headquarters.